Hey everyone, Brian here from Gaming and we're back with another episode of Kenneth Game. Today, we're looking at the realme C75, the latest mid-range device from realme that promises an IP69 rating, surprisingly tough construction for a budget phone, and a sizable battery. Mid-range phones often claim to balance performance, price, and durability. But we want to see if this one can really handle gaming. We're not just here for superficial impressions. We're testing this phone's actual capabilities in popular games to find out if it's worth your time and money if you plan on gaming regularly. Let's talk about the price point first. The realme C75 comes in two variants. 8,999 pesos for the 8 gigs of RAM plus 128 gigs of storage model, and 10,999 pesos for the 8 gigs RAM plus 256 gigs of storage option. These are interesting numbers, but we'll have to see just how far your money goes with this device. Under the hood, the realme C75 backs a MediaTek Helio G92 Max chipset, 8 gigs of RAM, and a choice between 128 gigs or 256 gigs of internal storage. You can also get a 6.72-inch LCD screen with a full HD Plus resolution with a 90Hz refresh rate. Power comes from a 6,000 mAh battery with 45-watt fast charging. Ultimately, though, the real question is how all this hardware translates to gaming performance. Before diving into actual gameplay, let's flash our benchmark scores on screen. Benchmarks aren't the end-all for performance, but they give a quick picture of how the realme C75 compares to other phones in its segment. As you'd expect from a Helio G series chip, the phone lands in the mid-range zone. It's not going to top any leaderboards, but it isn't at the bottom of the barrel either. For a device in this price bracket, these benchmark scores are typical. Now, on to our gaming test. For consistency, we run each game at its default graphics settings. We believe that's the fairest way to see what this phone can handle right out of the box without fine-tuning every detail. We also limit the play session to 30 minutes for each game, because that's a common duration people lend to spend on a single session when they're on mobile. By monitoring average FPS and average surface temperature, we get a sense of both performance and comfort. If a phone starts to overheat quickly, you're not going to have a fun time, even if the game runs well initially. First, let's talk about Call of Duty Mobile. At default settings, it averages around 30 FPS. That's not the most fluid experience, especially if you're used to 60 FPS or higher, but it's still playable for casual matches. Surface temperature hover around 40 degrees Celsius, which is warm but not too uncomfortable. COD Mobile is pretty well optimized, and a stable 30 FPS might be enough if you're not trying to climb rank mode too seriously. Next up is Asphalt Unite, which is a racing game known for quick action and flashy visuals. Here, we saw an average of about 43 FPS and a temperature of 41 degrees Celsius. Asphalt Unite looks decent on this LCD panel, though I would have loved to see deeper colors or an AMOLED display if realme had decided to push that boundary for a phone marketed as tough. Now, the real stress test, Genshin Impact. This game pushes a lot of phones to their limits due to its open-world environments, high polygon character models, and constant loading in of new assets as you roam around. On default settings, the realme C75 managed an average of 21 FPS, and we measured the temperature at 42 degrees Celsius. You'll notice frequent stutters, especially when you're in combat or exploring busy areas. If you're a serious Genshin player who wants smooth gameplay, this setup might frustrate you. We also tested Zenless Zone Zero, another visually intensive game. Performance here dropped even lower. We observed an average of 10 FPS, with some moments of extreme frame drops during combat. The phone stayed at around 42 degrees Celsius, which is still warm but not drastically higher than Genshin. However, that 10 FPS average means the game's pretty rough to play. If you're interested in exploring Zenless Zone Zero, fast-paced combat, and visuals, you probably won't enjoy it in realme C75. This phone just isn't equipped to handle that level of graphical complexity smoothly. On the bright side, Mobile Legends ran much better. With default graphic settings, we got an average of 55 FPS at about 42 degrees Celsius. Mobile Legends is a big deal in certain regions, and if you're playing this as your main game, you'll find the realme C75 fairly capable. The near 60 FPS average means you can stay competitive although the phone does get warm. So, how do we feel about this phone overall? Let's start with the positives. The phone has decent heat management for a budget device. Temperature stayed in the low 40s for most games, which does get warm but never felt dangerously hot. That's an achievement for a mid-range phone under heavy load. Also, the 6000 mAh battery is a real plus. Gaming can drain a battery fast, but here you can keep playing for longer sessions without needing to dash to a power outlet. The big battery also means you'll have plenty of juice left for other tasks after your gaming session ends. However, there are some drawbacks. The display is only an LCD panel, and even though Realme mentions a 90Hz refresh rate, it isn't consistently realized, especially when gaming. For its price, we expected either a better LCD with a 120Hz experience or possibly a budget AMOLED. The other issue is that overall gaming performance is weaker than we'd hope for in this segment. We've seen cheaper phones deliver more stable frame rates. It seems Realme might have focused more on durability and battery life, leaving gaming performance as a lower priority. Now the question is, can it game? Sure, the Realme C75 can handle casually and moderately demanding games at decent frame rates. But if you're buying a phone to focus on heavier games, you're going to see significant performance drops, frame rate dips, and overall limitations that will affect your experience. The IP69 rating and large battery are the main attractions here, but for serious gaming, it's not exactly the best choice. If you're aiming for high-level mobile gaming, you might want to explore other options or bump up your budget. And that's it. What device would you like us to do a gaming review next? Let me know in the comment section down below, and as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and also visit our website gaming.yugatech.com for more gaming stuff, news, and reviews. This is Brian, and see you again on the next one.